Hello, and welcome to this session where we're going to talk about how to evaluate your career options so that you can make the right career choice. As you know, my name is Arun Singhal. I'm your management coach and mentor with 40 years of experience in people development. So, what are we going to do today? We are going to talk about today and we're going to look at in depth understanding of a process that can help you evaluate your career options to make the right career choices. At the end of this module, what will you learn? What you will learn is first we will understand why do we need to evaluate. Why it might sound little simplistic, but let's look at that. How can you evaluate a career option? We will look at a methodology in which you can systematically evaluate your career options. And then I will show you some examples of taking the same example that we have been running through. How would this evaluation look like to get you a real life feel? So, why should you evaluate your career options? What's your thoughts? 30 seconds? Note down, pause the video if required, and come back. All right. As I see, why you should evaluate your career options, because if you do not evaluate your career options, how will you know which options are right for you, right? So unless you do evaluation of the option, how will you know that which is the best option? And the whole purpose of evaluation is to make a right career choice, right? That will make you happy in life. So you need to evaluate them. Third thing that I found is that you will find that there are very divergent options at times based on individual preferences of people that you have talked to, including your parents. And it happens that I'm a father too, and at times what we wanted to do in our life and we couldn't do it, we would like our children to do, right? And that's what comes into that. Whether that's right or wrong for the children, we really sometimes don't think. And lastly, it is your own career in life, and you need to make a choice based on your own evaluation of all these options. And there may be some people who have given you some options, and they may continue to ask you, are you looking at that? Why aren't you looking at that? And you must be able to go back and say, if you're not pursuing them, why are you not pursuing that? And that would require some kind of evaluation, right? Okay. So let's look at how can you evaluate your career options. So what do you think? Take 30 seconds, pause the video, come back, tally notes. Okay. So on a simplistic form, in a very simple form, the way you can evaluate is in a two-step process. You can you identify your most identify the most important career objectives from the wants, the remaining part that you left. So identify the most important. Yeah. And you rank career option on this one objective, which is the most important want of your career objectives. That could be one simplistic format. Now, if you like to go a little more into saying, what about my other wants, you can then go to the next most important career objective and rank career option this as well. And I'll show you how to do that in an example. And complete the same for rest of the career objectives. And remember, all these objectives that we're going to talk about here are the want objective. Must should not come back into this picture now, because we have already screened all our options using the must. So this is the wants out of your career objectives that we will use, and you will rank here. And then based on this ranking on either one of the most or multiple wants of your career objectives, you will make an overall assessment. Make sense? So how could this evaluation look like? So if you see on your screen, this evaluation could look like, a simple 2x2 table where on the top you write what are your most important remaining objectives and the next important, and then you could keep adding 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and then put an overall ranking. And in the rows, you could mention your options, and then each of the option or all the options, you will take one objective that is most important and rank relative to each other. Which is the most important? Which is next? Which is next? Which is next? And like this, you keep doing for all the objectives that are remaining ones. And all the remaining ones are wants. I want that to be clarified. And once you do this on each of the remaining objectives, then you make an overall assessment of what are the rankings on each of the options. This is how it will look like in general. Let's take an example of where will this data come from. And if you go back to the example that I was showing in my own case, that you see at the bottom of this slide is that if your career options were like government engineer, scientist, etc., and you had narrowed down from there three, that is scientists, MNCs, and management education, as being the most right options, you will take those into this table on the rows. And remember that you are taking only those options that pass through the must objectives. You will not take the ones that do not meet the must objectives. Clear? And you will only take those objectives, the ones in the top, in the columns. So first column, second column. So if you see the objectives that will come into this table for my own example that I was running, want to have my own car and want to have my own house, and the three, and we will see this in the next slide as we go along. So this is how the whole thing will look then, right? So I would have two objectives that will come in here, have my own car, have my own house, and I have three options, scientists, MNCs, and management education. And then how would I rank them is the question. So here you will bring back the use of passion, strength, and value. You would look at each of these, on each of the objective, you will look at your options and say, given my passion, strength, and the value this option, which is the most important, which is the most attractive option for me. And so if you go back to my own case, I looked at these three options and I said I have equal passion and strength in all the three at that point of time, obviously. And later on I discovered I had passion in things like management education also, which is what I'm doing now. So that's the time I would have said, yeah, I have equal passion and strength all three, but MNC career will provide faster value in meeting all the three objectives. So on that, I rated that as number one. And it happened that both second objective also that came as number one, management education number two, and scientist number three. And that's how I got to rate the first, second, and third options on this evaluation scale. So what did we learn in this module? So what we learned in this module is we need to evaluate our career options, the career options that we have narrowed down using the listing phase in which we have listed them through, screened them through the must objectives. And we need to evaluate basically to know which are the best options for us, and to know which will make us most happy in life, because ultimately it's all about happiness in life, right? And also to go back and tell people who would have provided you these options, and if they're very close to you and they keep pursuing, why aren't you doing that option like IPS? You must be able to go back and say, hey, yeah, IPS is nice, but I can't make enough money in that by sticking to my honesty and sincere rules, so I can't consider that. We can evaluate these career options on a very simple process. Basic method is to rank these options, these options that have passed through the previous stage on the remaining career objective. Important word is remaining career objective, which are all wants here. And then make an overall assessment based on the ranking of these options. We can rank these options in meeting the remaining objects on the basis of how do we rank it? What is the formula that we use to rank this? We will go back to using our passion and strength on each of his options and the value each option brings to meet these objectives. And I show you the example at the bottom that if there are three, you will rank them on all the remaining two objectives as 1, 2, and 3 and arrive at an overall ranking. So what are we going to do next in the next module? We have done so far, we have looked at how to set career objective. We have looked at how to list our options and convert them into sub-right options. And then we have also looked at in this module of how to evaluate and come to a prioritization of, so which is the topmost option that I have, what is next best, and not what is the plan A, plan B, and plan C. What we're going to do is to do what is called a double checking of a best option. If my best option is going into MNC, let me double check that option and see, am I making the right choice or am I making some major mistake there? So we're going to do that in the next session. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have liked this video once again, and you've enjoyed listening to me here as I continue to enjoy talking to you. Look forward to seeing you in the next module and talk about the final phase of double checking the choices that you're beginning to make.